Ariel Helwani has finally broken his silence on the chaos surrounding UFC 317, and he's not holding back. According to Helwani, the original plan for that card was Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis for the undisputed middleweight title, but things fell apart when DDP reportedly suffered an injury, throwing the entire event into flux. Now, instead of that blockbuster clash, there's talk that Khamzat might face his former teammate Caio Borralho for an interim belt, and Helwani's not buying into the hype. He made it clear that matchup, while interesting on paper, simply isn't worthy of International Fight Week. For what's supposed to be one of the UFC's most stacked historic events, this potential headliner feels underwhelming, a far cry from the fireworks fans were expecting. But Helwani didn't stop there. He also made a bold claim about Islam Makhachev. If the lightweight champ doesn't end up fighting Ilia Topuria, who's now a massive star and freshly moved up from featherweight, Ariel believes that could leave an asterisk on Islam's legacy, a what if that could linger for years. The suggestion here is that skipping over Ilia might come across as ducking, especially with Topuria's momentum, undefeated record, and massive Spanish-speaking fan base behind him.
Caio Borralho versus Khamzat Chimaev interim title fight, perhaps coupled with a Alex Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France flyweight fight, is that International Fight Week worthy? Can we just convince Islam to stay one more fight at 155 pounds? Look, you beat Ilia. You can make the claim that you've cleaned out the division. And yes, someone will say, what about Arman? Well, no, I beat Arman. All right, I'm giving him another crack. I beat him way back when he had his chance. He had his second chance. He didn't show up. I did. Ilia now moves up. Can you make the claim? I'm just asking. I'm not saying I necessarily subscribe to this. Can you make the claim that if you don't stick around to fight Ilia, it will forever be somewhat of an asterisk?
No.
Can you make that claim?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
It's Ilia Topuria moving up.
On the number one pound for pound guy who gave the featherweight champ 2 shots at it, no, you cannot make that.
Is there anyone other than Ilia right now that is really like a strong threat to his throne?
Chael Sonnen just added a layer of mystery to the Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall saga, and it's getting real interesting. Chael unveiled a private conversation with Aspinall, who had hinted at having some secret info about the highly anticipated fight with Jones. And while Tom's lips are sealed due to a recent promise he made to the UFC brass, the vibes he gave off suggest something major is brewing behind the scenes. Just days after calling Jon Jones a strange guy, Aspinall dropped an update on his YouTube channel that raised eyebrows across the MMA world. He didn't spill the beans, but he made it crystal clear that he knows what's happening. That lines up with Dana White's recent comments, where he essentially confirmed that Jones versus Aspinall is done. The only thing left is ironing out the finer details. With International Fight Week right around the corner in June, and Dricus du Plessis rumored to be dealing with an injury, the timing couldn't be better. Bottom line is, Tom knows something we don't, and we might finally see the dream fight we've been waiting for. Here's what Chael revealed.
Tom felt compelled to let you know that he does, in fact, know. All right, fair enough, fair enough. So now we just have to guess and speculate where might that be. And a big one and a big opportunity is International Fight Weekend. But if Tom and Jon is done and they were not scheduled for International Fight Weekend, even in the wake of Dricus du Plessis being hurt and being in the wake of, hey, we need a main event and we need it to be meaningful, they will not change. Whatever the plan was for Jones and Aspinall will not be affected by anything else. There's a chance that that plan all along was International Fight Weekend. There's a chance. I believe they're going to fight in November. I think they're fighting in New York. Tom, kinda, basically, sorta, has to keep it a secret. And whatever the exceptions to the secrecy rule were, I can't be offended, but I must admit, he did not tell me.
Light heavyweight champion Magomed Ankalaev gets dropped by Sean Strickland in sparring, and the story's making waves. Over the past few years, the two have trained side by side numerous times, often crossing paths at the UFC Performance Institute and even becoming occasional sparring partners. Strickland's reputation for turning every training session into a fight night is already well known. There's no shortage of footage showing him going full throttle, whether it's beating up internet trolls who dared to challenge him, scrapping with teammates during supposed light sessions, or getting dropped by Francis Ngannou in their now infamous sparring war. Strickland's chaotic energy is a familiar sight to MMA fans, but somehow he always finds a way to stir up new buzz. This time it came through an unexpected source, Ankalaev himself. While doing an interview with RB Sports, the light heavyweight champ was asked about claims from another Russian fighter who witnessed Strickland drop him during a recent sparring session, and instead of shutting it down, Ankalaev gave a response that sounded more like quiet confirmation than denial. The reporter asked, quote, "So did he really drop you and weren't you wearing headgear?" End quote. And Ankalaev responded with the following, quote, "Well, when we spar, we really don't take it easy on each other, and he's a weird guy to spar. Very unorthodox, as I've said before." End quote. The timing makes the story even more intriguing, considering Ankalaev just dethroned Alex Pereira at UFC 313 and is preparing for their rematch. He's on a 14-fight unbeaten run and widely considered one of the most physically dominant forces in the division. So when word got out that Strickland, fresh off a loss in his own title bid, floored the champ, it caught fire, especially across Russian media. It's not every day a middleweight contender becomes the talk of the gym by dropping a reigning light heavyweight king. But then again, with Sean Strickland, normal rules rarely apply. Alex Pereira recently appeared on a Brazilian talk show where he opened up about his tough loss to Magomed Ankalaev and made it clear he's planning adjustments for their highly anticipated rematch, which is set for August. He acknowledged that while Ankalaev's approach wasn't the most entertaining, focused on pressure and control rather than engaging in a true battle, it was effective enough to earn him the win and the UFC light heavyweight title. What bothered Pereira the most wasn't damage taken, but the nature of the defeat, spending significant time with his back against the fence without absorbing much punishment, yet still losing the fight, was a tough pill to swallow. He believes this kind of outcome sends the wrong message by encouraging fighters to adopt risk-averse styles that stall the action rather than bring the fight. That said, Pereira isn't making excuses. He knew what Ankalaev would bring to the table and followed his own team's strategy. Now, with the rematch locked in, he's focused on refining his game and coming in with a new approach to reclaim the belt and deliver a more decisive performance. Gonna make some adjustments for the rematch and I'll be back much better. You can count on it, Pereira said in Portuguese. But what do you think, fight fans? Does Pereira have what it takes to make the necessary adjustments and stop Ankalaev's grinding style? Or do you believe Ankalaev's game plan will once again prove too much to deal with? And how do you feel about Ankalaev's approach in general? Effective but boring, or smart and strategic? Also, what are your thoughts on the Topuria Makhachev drama? Will this fight happen? Leave your comments below. That's it from MMA Psycho. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for your daily dose of MMA news.